How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Leadway Wealth Builders Podcast, episode 154. And today, me, Chris Rickenbaugh, is going to be talking about how to find your why to invest in real estate. But before we hop into that, a little bit about me. This podcast is a personal documentation of my journey in real estate and business, and I'm also talking a little bit about travel hacking and personal finance. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at chris.rickenbaugh, and if you're listening to this podcast, stay right where you are, or you can go ahead and listen on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and Podbean, and now Amazon Music as well. So make sure you check those out. If you're not listening, go share this with your friends. This is the only way the podcast grows, to be able to help more people understand real estate or follow my journey to where my business is going. So let's hop into today's episode. So the topic is find your why to invest in real estate, and what is your main reason to invest in real estate? For me, I started educating myself back at the end of college and started picking up some different books because, I didn't have money. I had a broken hip, so I wasn't able to really go out and do much. I had these little side jobs through college and realized that I was just building skills, but I wanted to work in racing, and I said I wanted to have something on the side that in case the worst case scenario happens, say I get let go, the team shut down, that I have some security with some rentals to be able to have some extra cash flow to be able to sit on and, make it through that tough time. So after I got out of college, I worked with a racing team for about a year, bought my first house in there, started house hacking, renting out my other room, and then got let go by that job. And then started with another startup company in about 7 months. And I said, yep, had enough of that, pulled the money out of the house, left that job, and then went full time into real estate, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. So with this bigger vision of, I want to work in racing, but I want to be able to have the security that I don't need to work if possible. So that's where rentals came into play for me. And now that I'm full-time in the business, I see it as a bigger thing, and that, real estate is a really, really good business, and you're able to, make a lot of money. But it is not the get rich quick, as a lot of people try to make it out to be. As I've been in this a year, I bought 8 houses, 9 soon coming up. And, just really figuring out the business, working with contractors, finding money, and then being able to do it the correct way, and now getting out of a bad partnership. So having this bigger vision is what helps you be able to get out of the current situation you're in. So let's just say you're in a W-2 job and you're tired of it. So before you quit your job, you have to understand that real estate is not the easiest way to get in, but I think I follow a lot of other people's, thoughts and, interviewing quite a few different people, being able to listen to a couple podcasts. The normal thinking goes that before you quit your job or you're trying to save a little bit more money, you start doing these little extra side hustles where you can earn a couple $100 extra per month, and then you start to figure out, it's like, okay, well, DoorDash isn't really helping me because I'm putting in 2 or 3 extra hours a day after my job. Like, this isn't going to work. So it's like, okay, well, where do I go to then? So people try out stocks quite a bit, but they realize it's like, hey, this is a full-time job and I just don't have that kind of time unless you dive full in. So then real estate kind of falls in that category. So before you quit your job, you need to be able to have this bigger vision of what real estate can do for you, and if real estate is even the right thing for you to do. So I would recommend reading some books. I would read Vivid Vision by Cameron Herold to be able to get the bigger vision of what you want your life to look like in the next 3 to 5 years. And then I would read From Passive to Passionate by Brian Lubin. So both of these books can really help you kind of guide being in this 9 to 5 or being a business owner and having this bigger picture and clear vision of what you want your life to look like down the road. Because then you can start crafting the plan once you have this end goal. It's kind of like a destination. Like you're not going to, just pull up Google Maps and say, hey, go anywhere and start driving, you're going to have an end destination. That's the only way the app works. So if you can find that end destination, say that's a cash flow number, or hey, I need this number coming in per month to be able to quit my job, that's an end destination, and then the how will figure itself out. So I would start with, what is your reason to invest in real estate? And I'm going to take the real estate route since that's the way I'm in. And then, what is this bigger goal? So if you want to quit your job, you need to be able to have this vivid vision of what you want your life to look like down the road. Because if once you get into real estate and realize you hate it, you just quit a job that was paying you, and now it's going to be really hard to get back in after you realize the time and the money that's spent. So make sure you're doing your education before you start, but you need to kind of go through your main reason on why you want to start. So one of the big things is taking control of your time and money. So being able to get into real estate and start a business that's going to be replacing the W-2 income, that's going to be the way to go. But being able to get started in that, house hacking is easily the best way to get in. If you have a W-2 job before you quit, make sure you buy a house with a couple extra bedrooms. Make sure you're renting your house out. So this is what I did, and I highly recommend it, because say you're grinding for an extra $400 or $500 from DoorDash and you're putting in those extra hours. If you just rent out your other room for $700, you've already made more than that entire month, and you're helping you save more money as well and time. And it just helps if you have more bedrooms. So that's going to help you to begin with. And then from there, it's like, okay, now you have to figure out what you're spending per month to be able to, take yourself out of that job. And then it's after the education of, okay, real estate is the way to go. I'm house hacking. I'm saving more money. I know how much money I spend per month and what I need. Then you can figure out whether wholesaling or flipping is for you, because that's probably one of the easier ways to get in it. And you're able to, in wholesaling, you're able to flip the contracts or flipping houses. That's another way to get in it. But flipping contracts in wholesaling is probably the simplest way to get started, but it needs a ton of education. So being able to find the why before you start and get yourself into this bigger business and long-term business is what you need to be able to do. So the first question you need to ask yourself before you dive into any of this, and what I'm going to be able to end on, is what do you want in your life? Is it time? Is it money? And then what do you do when you have both of those things? So if money wasn't an issue, if you had all the money in the world, what would you be doing and craft your perfect day? That's the easiest way to start, because it takes money out of it. And then you can start to apply a dollar amount to that. And then you can kind of backtrack your way to be able to figure out what you need per month and what you need per year to be able to go after those goals. And then the how is going to be able to figure out itself. Maybe it's real estate, maybe it's not, maybe it's this personal business you really want to be able to start, but you need to be able to figure out that why before you start, or else, it could get you into business that you may not even like. So that's what I've done, and this is why I'm sticking with real estate. I love the time to be able to, go and do what I want. And we know the money's coming. I mean, we're able to buy houses. We know what a good deal's like. And it took a good year and a half to be able to really figure out, the real estate game. So I'm super excited to be able to kind of work on clearing the deck on what I have on houses right now and really just start over, make sure I'm buying them right, better people around me. And I'm, really excited to be able to share that story with you as I keep going here. So make sure you keep following along. Make sure you do those things that I talked about as to find, the reason you may want to start investing in real estate, because having the why, you're easily going to find the how. So that's all I got for you today. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Leadway Wealth Builders podcast. This is Chris Rickenbaugh signing off.